Hello, it's your friendly fishmonger here, Dan from dansfish.com. And I got a great surprise yesterday when I came down to the fish room, and my Betta Channoides decided to start spawning. So I got some video of that, and I'm going to share that with you now. Alright, so here they are. This is the first time that this pair has ever been together, so it's going to take them a little while to get it right. So we're going to go through a series of attempts that won't end up in a successful embrace. That was the first one. Here they go again for round two. No, not quite. Yeah, it's their first time in the back seat, so we'll be patient with them. I cut out some wasted time there. Here we go for number 3, and nope, still not quite there. Something that I love about these guys is just their coloration. They're beautiful fish. The female, when she gets those bold stripes on her, that's her in breeding condition with that bold white belly, and those bold white stripes going up her sides. That's when you know she's ready to go. Here she's coming out from under the log now, so we'll get a better look. When she hangs out under that log, unfortunately, it's kind of hard to see, and he is too, but he's this beautiful wine red. He has some dark margins on his fins, and the outer side of those is lined with just this brilliant white. We'll see his face, but not much more. He's going to pop back in. He's the guy that holds the eggs and needs to take care of the eggs, so he's not going to take a lot of chances and come out from underneath that piece of wood where he feels protected. Alright, let's see if we can be successful here. No, they're still figuring each other out. Almost. You know they're successful because there'll be a hard clamp and then they'll kind of float up in a trance. They're slightly buoyant, I guess, and so they'll float up after they embrace successfully. But anyway, they're beautiful fish. The only real difference between Betta Channoides and a close relation, Betta alba marginata, is that on the alba marginata, the white margin on the caudal fin, the tail fin, goes the entire length of the tail fin, whereas on Channoides, it doesn't quite go the entire length. There's a little spot, I believe, at the top where there's a little black that hits the edge instead of the white. And that's kind of the big difference, at least as far as I've been able to tell. I'm sure that genetically there's bigger differences. But the other interesting thing about these fish is they're not like the bubble nest builders, like Betta splendens or embellus or any of those. In those fish, the male takes charge of the spawning. Oh, I did see one egg be released there. I'm not sure it got fertilized. I don't think that embrace was successful, but she did release an egg. Oh, there she goes up. She's picking it up. She missed it. Go again. No, not quite. No, not quite. There, now she got it. So I don't know if that one's fertile or not. But in these mouth-brooding bettas, at least the Channoides and the alba marginata and rubra and some of the others, it's the female that takes charge. The female is the more aggressive one. The males take care of the eggs, which is interesting. Okay, that's the first successful embrace. I know that because they're starting to float up. So they clamped successfully. She released her eggs onto his tail fin. He released his sperm, and then they kind of just float in a trance for a while. The female will be the first to recover, and she will go pick up the eggs, and then the male will sometimes recover in time to pick up a few of them, but usually she's picked them all up, or at least most of them. And then she'll play this game with the male where she will occasionally spit the eggs out, and it's his job to grab them from her before she sucks them back in. Okay, there's some eggs she's picking up. There, she's getting a mouthful. Once she gets a few in her mouth, she'll start spitting them to the male, which is fun to watch. And if he doesn't grab them quick enough, okay, here she goes. This is her head's up. I think she's gonna that's usually an indication that she's ready to spit the eggs. Oh yeah, here we go. I think. Oh, that might have been a false alarm. Oh no, there she goes. There's an egg. Oh, he didn't. I don't think he got that one. He's got to be super quick. There he goes. He got that one. And you know, they don't let a lot of time lapse. They release the eggs. They get them quick. She spits them to him. He has to get them super quick because they don't want predators to come in and eat their eggs. So they're pretty quick about grabbing them and cleaning them up and then exchanging them. And then the male is going to hold them in his mouth in a buccal cavity. His throat extends, his mouth gets pretty wide, and that's how he takes care of the eggs. And he'll kind of do this chewing motion where he'll constantly tumble the eggs in his mouth, and that's how the eggs get fresh water. Ooh, nice job. There, we got a few exchanged there. That's how he keeps the eggs clean and constantly brings fresh water in with fresh oxygen to keep them oxygenated enough that they'll develop well. So that's kind of that's their breeding strategy. I think there we are. That's how they transfer them. Again, it's kind of like a game. It's like, are you quick enough, dude, to pick those up? And if not, she'll grab them right back down. Anyway, they're fascinating to watch. I'm sorry about the poor lighting. Obviously, they're under a piece of driftwood where they feel safe and sheltered. So it's going to be a fairly dark part of the aquarium. I have bred them in the past where they've been right out in the light. And maybe in the future that'll happen again and I can get a video with better lighting. But for now, this is what we have. And I don't blame them. I mean, they're trying to be safe, so they're in a protected place. In case you're wondering, those little fish out in front here, those are killifish from Sri Lanka. They're called Aplochilus dei. They're a fantastic fish. That's a female right there. Really neat patterning. I like the spots on them. Nice gold and orange colors on this fish, especially the males. And we'll see more of that later. They'll swim in and out throughout this video. That little guy back there is a desert goby that I keep in here with these guys. Both these are pretty easygoing tank mates. None of them are real fast swimmers or real active fish. The gobies hang out on the bottom and kind of, scoot around a little bit. All right, that's a successful embrace because they're locked up and they're floating. So I know that one was good. Ouch, it looks like he bumped his head on the top of the driftwood there. Stop jumping on the bed and hitting the ceiling, dude. Anyway, so the gobies are pretty docile, don't move real quick, so they don't outcompete the bettas for food or harass them at all. And then the Aplochilus dei, those killifish, they stay up at the top, and so they don't really go down where the bettas are very much. I mean, occasionally they do. There's a male right there. See those nice gold colors on that Aplochilus dei. The bottom fin is long and pointed, and that tail looks like a rocket. It's got like these red margins on it, sub-margins on it, outlined by gold. I just think they're beautiful fish. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so they stay at the top mostly, and they don't dart around too bad. So they make pretty good companions for each other. And they also, I do find that having some other fish around does help the bettas feel that it's almost like a ditherfish effect. It's like, oh, these other fish are out and about, and so things must be okay. It must be okay to come out and play and breed and eat and do all those things that they do. Oh, there's a bunch of eggs. She deposited them right on his fin there and then grabbed them right up. There's some more. Oh, she got them. Yep, good job. Oh, looks like we're going to pass the egg here. Yep, big clump of eggs there. Now, there are a few times throughout this spawning where we'll see her, I don't know, she gets real excited or something, and she drops an egg without being in an embrace. and then she'll pick it up and spit it to him like normal. So I don't think we're going to have 100% fertility rate in this spawning. Yep, he missed it. Not quick enough, dude. But you know, hopefully, if I can get 20 babies out of this, I'd be ecstatic. If I get 10, I'd be happy. But this is their first time, so you know, they might not even hold them to term. He might eat them. He might spit them. I don't know. There's a big packet of eggs. There's some more. Yeah, that was a good one. I don't know, 5, 6, 7 there, maybe something like that. Looking for more. I think that's it, girl. I think you got them. Oh, we're gonna play past the eggs again. It's so funny. He has to be right there. I mean, he has to be so quick, or she'll just suck him right back in. Anyway, they're an absolutely beautiful fish, and this behavior is so fun to watch. They get interesting patterns in their brightest colors when they're spawning, obviously. Uh-oh. Oh, he almost got some caviar there. Or she, that's a female killifish there. She was going for it, but again, they're pretty quick because, you know, they know there's predators. As you can see, today I fed live blackworms. I don't always do that, but I do that, you know, occasionally to put some weight on and let the fish have some fun. I generally put in enough that they'll be there all day, for a day or two even. And since they're live food, man, look how beautiful that killifish is. He's just gorgeous. Since they're live food, I don't have to worry about them not getting eaten right away. They can just live in the aquarium. Oh good, she's coming out. We can see her pattern under the light. Are we gonna see him? Hey, a little bit. Oh, again, the light's not great, but you can kind of see how he is there. Oh, he's beautiful. Anyway, I completely forget what I was saying. It probably wasn't important anyway. But I think it's so interesting watching this, how on this species, how in charge the females are. You wouldn't think that. You'd think, oh no, the males are going to be the aggressive ones. But in bettas, it's the area, in mouth breeding bettas, at least this species, this family generally, or this tribe, is that what they call it? The closely related mouth breeding bettas to Betta Channoides. Yeah, those females are the boisterous ones, which, you know, when I first got them, I did not know that. And so it really took me by surprise when I saw the females initiating spawning, and even the females doing most of the sparring for territory and for dominance and for mating rights and all that. I would say that this is a fish that you definitely want to give a lot of cover to. There are times when they'll just want to be in the cover. And if they have the cover, then they generally will be pretty outgoing. So when they don't want to be there, they'll swim around and they'll explore and they'll be easy to see. But if you don't give them any cover, they'll be skittish because they don't know where to go if things did get dangerous. So that fish in front, that's again another female Aplochilus dei. The females are pretty as well. They have a lot of black patterning on them. They have some gold, a little bit of red sometimes, some oranges sometimes. The anal fin on the females is not nearly as extended as it is on the males. In the male's tail fin, the center will get a bit of an extension on it too. The female has it a bit, but the males will get even more. Really neat fish, super hardy, not easy to find, but pretty darn easy to breed. So I hope to be distributing those soon. And we're going to pass some eggs here. It looks like she gets in that head up position. She's telling him, "Come get the eggs." I don't know if he's listening. I don't know what he's doing. Yeah, that didn't happen. These fish, in the past, I would generally get broods of around 20, sometimes more than 20. So I expect once they kind of get comfortable, it might take 2 or 3 times before they really do well with their brood care. Woo, that's a mouthful. She's been collecting them for a while. But once they figure it out, they'll consistently spawn. In fact, they'll spawn so consistently that the male will starve if you're not careful. So since the male carries the eggs, he'll carry the eggs for, I can't remember exactly how long. I'd have to look it up. Sorry about that. It's either 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Somewhere in that range. Yeah, I really can't remember. But anyway, he carries the eggs, and in that whole time... Oh, good. Got a good transfer there. Oh, no, he didn't. She picked them all up again. I think he might have got one. But since the male carries the eggs for so long, he's not eating that entire time. So when he releases the fry, if he's in with the female by then will be more than ready to spawn again, and he'll spawn again, and then he won't eat for another 2 to 3 weeks. And so if you let that happen for too long, he'll actually starve because he's breeding so much. So what I do is I separate him, and I put him in another tank, usually, where he'll release his fry. I've also bred them, though, in really heavily planted tanks with lots of Java moss and things, and let the males spit in the tank when the fry are fully developed. And they don't really predate on their fry if they're well fed, and if there's a lot of cover, then the fry will survive. So I've done it that way too, and just let the fry grow up in the tank. But in general, I'll remove the male to a small tank where he can brood the eggs in peace without being disturbed. And once he spits the fry, then I'll move him to another tank and feed him up for a couple weeks and let him get weight back on his bones. And once he's, back to robust weight, then I'll spawn him again. Oh, good. He caught like 2 or 3 there that time. You can see how distended his throat's getting as he holds the eggs there in his buccal cavity. He's getting a mouthful there. And you can also see that chewing motion. Oops, better get out of there, buddy. They ain't messing around. Okay. That chewing motion just to keep fresh water and fresh oxygen coming in to keep the eggs developing and keep them clean. His entire profile's changed. So now what they're going to do, it looks like this is behavior that makes me think they're probably done spawning. Yeah, his throat is so distended there. Yeah, get out of there, Goby. His throat's pretty distended. Oh, it looks like she's still got a few eggs to pass. But it looks like they're done spawning. I could be wrong, or getting ready to finish up. But what happens is they start swimming kind of back and forth, side to side. And that's... that behavior right there, that's the male saying, hey, give me the eggs. Where are the rest of the eggs? I need those eggs. So he's going to stick with her, and they'll go back and forth until she has passed him all the eggs. See, there he goes. He's Where are they? Where are they? And eventually, they'll, from the beginning, from the inception of them doing their first embraces, their first unsuccessful embraces, to her passing all the eggs to them and them finally separating, it can be an hour to 2 hours or so. And for the last part, they just spend quite a while sticking together and going back and forth. And I think that's his way of saying, give me the eggs. I'm sticking here until you've given me all those eggs. Man, his throat is getting huge. Yep, here they go. He's like, nope, you're not going. Give them to me. Man, that killifish really likes just hanging right there. That's the spot, I guess. Well, I think they're finishing up, so I think I'm going to time lapse through this next bit here. Oh yeah, she's still passing him. I can see her going into the position to spit more eggs to him. But it looks like they're about done. They're just going to go back and forth and stick together until every egg's been passed. So I think I'm going to cut it there. Despite what some of the literature says, often you'll read about Channoides and albumarginata and rubra and such like that. In the literature, we'll talk about soft acidic water, pH of 3.5 to 5.5, all these things. I bred this fish in large numbers in Los Angeles and in Santa Barbara, and that was rock hard water. I mean, it was liquid concrete, liquid rock. I think that the TDS was 900 something, but it was super hard, and it was great water for like Tanganyikan cichlids. But the Betta Channoides that I had spawned great in that, and they were wild caught. So it wasn't like they'd been in generations and generations and generations in hard water. They came from the wild, but they did just fine. So the point I'm trying to make is you don't have to doctor your water severely. Keep your water clean, keep the fish in a habitat where they feel comfortable, where they have cover, and feed them properly, and they'll do just fine. So anyway, let me show you the tank that they're spawning in, so you get an idea of what it looks like overall. So this is the aquarium that they spawned in. It's very, very simple. It has a sponge filter and a box filter like all my aquariums, some pipe for hiding in, some leaf litter, which I used to raise scuds in this tank, and that's leaf litter left over from that. It's mostly decomposed. And then there's some driftwood with some Java moss on it, and there's some Java fern. And then where they spawned was in this, right under that log is where they spawned. Then over here on this side of the tank, there's some more pipes and an eggshell to try to get a little calcium in the water. When I had the scuds in there, they would kind of graze on the eggshell a little bit. At least I hoped they would. So that's what the bottom looks like. If we come up top, there's a spawning mop in there for the killies, and up on they have a couple tank mates. There on the mop there is a female desert goby, some water sprite here, and in among the water sprite, random guppy that ended up in the tank. But among the water sprite are some killifish. These are Aplochilus dei, which are one of my favorites. I used to have them back when I was like 14 years old, years and years ago. Found them at a pet shop back when I was 14 and got them, and they're fantastic. One of my favorite killifish. So that's what the tank mates are. So it's a 75-gallon tank. The glare is going to be bad when I back up like this, but 75-gallon tank. But that's the aquarium. The temperature in here is mid to upper 70s. So I think in here it's probably about 75 is what this tank runs. And that's how I set up their tank. I feed them frozen bloodworms, frozen brine shrimp, live blackworms, things like that. They don't really tend to eat, I haven't gotten them to eat anyway, the flake foods or the pellet foods or prepared foods basically. So frozen is good, live is good. Alright, well I hope you enjoyed that. I think they're gorgeous fish. I find if you take care of them, feed them frozen and live foods, I find them to be very hardy. They don't do well with boisterous tank mates. Like I wouldn't put them in with barbs or a bunch of fast fish or anything like that. I removed the male a day after they spawned, and I'm going to show you the tank he's in. So he's on one of these tanks. It's a little 5.5-gallon tank. This is his tank. It's got a Hamburg Matten filter in it. It's got a little water sprite at the top, some pipe for him to hide in, some pots for him to hide in, some Java moss on top of that to create a little cave kind of in the back area there that he can hang out in without being disturbed. So pretty simple setup. And again, mid-70s or so is what that tank is. That aquarium gets a water change 5 times a day. I think the 2 minutes a day, so that roughly over the course of a 24-hour period, so it's pretty clean in there. So I think he'll do well. Anyway, I hope in a few weeks to be able to show you the fry and how they're doing. But we'll have to wait and see. This is his first time spawning here. I don't know if he's experienced. I don't know if he's going to spit the eggs or swallow the eggs or if he's going to hold them to term, but I hope he does well. All right, that's it. Dan from Dan's Fish, and I'll see you next time.